Hi, Nick.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today to chat through some of the exciting things that we have upcoming at Salal and to demystify the assessment clinic that is going to be launching at Salal as of June 1st.
Yeah, happy to be
Um,
here.
awesome. I have four questions that I'm hoping will help people feel like the information is accessible. And of course, if folks have more questions, they can email us at supportgroups@salal.ca. Um, so my first question for you is why the partnership between Salal and UBC, given that you and your team are centralized at UBC?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm on Salal's board, which I am just so happy to be in partnership with Salal. I love everything y'all do, and my research and clinical work focuses on survivors of gender-based violence, including sexual violence. And so I really wanted to figure out what could we do to offer our support to the community. And I know you and I have been in conversation about thinking about things and talking about the long wait list for counseling services that currently exists. And so one of the things that assessments can provide is, well, first of all, some psychotherapeutic care. So some care and support. And that's something that we can hopefully get people in quicker than they might be able to get into more long-term services. But also, it helps us really figure out what's going on and understanding the person a little bit more so that we can specify the care and provide treatment recommendations for the person, which hopefully might be able to streamline some care processes and get folks access to care sooner, or also referred to some resources if they might need different or more specialized care. So yeah, it just seemed like a really good opportunity and something that we have students who are learning assessments and excited about this work. So a great opportunity to collaborate.
Awesome. Yeah, I think so much of the time when people get like crime victims assistance program benefits, they end up using a big chunk of their sessions just trying to figure out what their goals might be. And so, and same with our sessions, once people land, they might have been waiting for a long time and might not have an idea of where they even need or want to start. So it sounds like that might help really focus those early sessions, which is awesome.
Definitely.
Okay, so what will be offered and at Salal? So I know that right now that there might be 2 days a week where folks are going to be in our space.
Yes.
And then who will be the people?
Yeah. So we're hoping to provide what I kind of call psychotherapeutic assessment work. And it covers a wide array of different services. It can just be really broad of people just wanting to learn more about themselves. We have some tools that have shortcomings and problems, and so they're really just tools, and we use them to try and understand whoever's in front of us in the room. We really come from a collaborative approach, and as someone who is both a survivor and someone who focuses on trauma in both my research and my clinical practice, I really also come from a trauma-informed approach. And so we will be clear and transparent with you throughout the process, what we're doing, what we're going to do with the results, what is the information that we found. And that collaboration piece is really critical of, again, these are tools, they're flawed tools. And so we will talk with you about here's what these assessments that we've done suggest. What are your thoughts about that? Are there things that we're missing? Are there pieces that you feel like don't make sense and we can kind of investigate further together? So it can be as broadly as you're just really wanting to learn more about yourself. And that would maybe involve some personality assessments, which can be similar to some of the things you might do online. So to learn more about yourself or kind of get kind of personality traits or characteristics. And that can help you to be able to relay to other people, like, this is something I learned about myself, and so this might be what I need from you. Or it might also help inform, like, what kind of treatment might be most beneficial for you based on some traits or characteristics of yourself. It can also be if you think that you might have some kind of possible psychiatric diagnosis and you're curious about it and want to look into that, that is something that we can do. It's never a requirement. And so that would really only be if someone's seeking that information. We have assessments that can help us figure out based on the diagnostic, the DSM, which is sort of our like diagnostic criteria for mental health diagnoses, to figure out what symptoms that you're experiencing, which of these diagnoses do they map onto? And that can also help us recommend services, treatments, things moving forward. It can also be used to, if you need accommodations. So if you're in school or at work, we can, based on these tests, we can then write accommodation recommendations and letters to provide recommendations for what do you need in order to be most successful given the struggles that you're experiencing. Um, and also another thing that we always really focus on with assessments is it's a balance between what are your strengths. So what are the things that are really you're doing well and you're navigating, and how can we like foster those and centralize and acknowledge those? And where are the areas where you're struggling, and how can we help get supports or accommodations to help you navigate those areas that you're struggling?
And the people that are going to be joining are students
Yes. So they're
from UBC.
students. They are all in our doctorate program, our PhD program at UBC in counseling psychology.
Mhm.
So all of them have completed their master's in a counseling program, and a lot of them have pretty significant experience doing counseling and therapeutic work. And so they're in the process of learning how to expand that to do assessment work. I will be the supervisor for all of them. So I will be responsible for really checking to make sure they're doing everything and taking best care in working with you. Um, and yeah, so those are the folks.
That's great. My last question is you talked about the process being really collaborative. How many sessions do you generally spend with folks? And also what would folks end up walking away with? So maybe if they didn't have an accommodation that they were seeking, what might they walk away with at the end of the assessment?
So the number of sessions can really depend on the person and the like what are they hoping to get out of the process, and then based on that we'll build a battery, what we call of a various series of assessments or tests that we'll engage with. And so I would say the least number of sessions that it would be three, because we would for sure want to do a intake session where we sort of get to know you and ask you questions and figure out what are you hoping to get out of the assessment and learn more about your context, who you are. Um, and then after that, we'll want to do at least one assessment session where we'll do some kind of assessment process, whether that's having you complete some self-report questionnaires, or doing some more like cognitive oriented testing where we, have you complete some tasks. We will like give you an example of like complete this search and have you do that, and we sort of observe and recognize that. And then the final would, at minimum, would be a feedback session where we would take all that information. So all of your context and what do you want to get out of session, the results from the assessment material, and then we will come up with what are our sort of understandings that we've gotten from this work that we've done with you, and then what are our recommendations based on that. And we'll meet with you, and you're welcome to have other folks come to this if you think it would be helpful for them to also hear or them to also provide feedback or information, or if you just want it to be yourself, that's also fine. And we'll provide feedback about answering the questions that you came in with. So that would be like the real focus of the feedback session, and also providing recommendations based on that information. During that process is also the time where we would chat about like, how is this landing? What are you feeling? Like, what feels like it fits? What feels off? And then after that, we'll go back and make any changes to the formal report that would come from the assessment. We don't have to do a formal report. They are common in assessment world. It's nice to have it because then, you can take it to other places, or it can be helpful for like accommodations or applying for disability. It can also be useful for that sort of thing if that's in the wheelhouse of what you're navigating. But we don't have to do a formal report. It can just be a conversation and providing feedback. Since we're doing this and it's not associated like coming from a certain agency or anything, you get to decide what happens with that report. So you can decide, I want to have it and I don't want it to go anywhere else. You can tell us, I would like you to send this to X, Y, and Z, and then we will send it. We would have to get a formalized release in order to send it to anybody. And the final report you will also sign off on. And so you would basically, if there's anything in the report that you don't feel comfortable with, we will work with you until it gets to a place where you feel like it represents your experience accurately. So that's sort of the end. So you could come out with just some like answers to some questions that you have, formal diagnoses, if that's something you're interested in, accommodation letters, possibly a formal report, if that's something that you want, an opportunity to have people in your life also hear this.
Awesome.
Mhm.
And so this is a partnership with Salal, but UBC is taking the lead. And so if folks are interested, they can email us at supportgroups@Salal, and we can do an assisted referral to get you linked up with the team at UBC, where they would be able to provide more information. So there is a small fee associated with it. I believe it's between $75 and $150. And Salal will be able to offer a few folks some support financially. So if this is something that you're interested in and financial barriers are an issue, please don't hesitate to reach out and let us know that. Um, so that's it. Thanks for joining me, Nick.
Yeah, and just to clarify, the fee is only for the assessment material. So everything else we're doing um, in support, trying to support the community and make sure that these resources are accessible.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.